Hey everyone, welcome back to another Explainer. If you're a focused learner trying to navigate the often chaotic world of real estate, you are literally in the perfect place today. We're taking localized, regional data from the Central Valley for 2026 and turning it into a clear, actionable playbook just for you. We're going to break down the numbers, share some essential homebuyer tips for 2026, and find exactly where your advantage lies. Okay, let's dive into this. Is 2026 the right time to buy? I mean, that's the absolute burning question on every prospective buyer's mind right now, isn't it? We're all feeling the current economic squeeze, and honestly, navigating the market lately can feel a bit like walking through a maze blindfolded. But don't worry, by the end of this explainer, we'll outline exactly where you stand and how to make the smartest move.
To figure out where we are right now, we really have to look at data from the experts on the ground. We've got this fantastic insight from Carmen Jimenez-Phillips over at Century 21 Select. She's also a past president of the Fresno Realtors Association. She notes May was a little bit slow real estate-wise, the first part of the year, but now it's picking up quite a bit. July has picked up more than June. So what does this tell us? It tells us the sluggish start we saw early on is officially older. The market is wide awake.
So here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the 2026 market shift. Number 2, the affordability challenge. Number 3, how rising inventory brings leverage. And finally, number 4, strategic tips for buyers.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the 2026 market shift.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're seeing right now. Typically, the warm weather buying season kicks off with a massive bang, right? But this year got off to an unusually slow start before suddenly shifting gears. Experts are tracking this closely. Back in May, real estate activity was slow and quiet. Then, moving into June, the market kind of begins picking up. And now, hitting July, market activity is heating up significantly. The weather isn't the only thing rising. The housing market is moving incredibly fast. As a buyer, you absolutely need to be aware of this rapid acceleration so you aren't caught off guard.
Which brings us to Section 2, the affordability challenge.
Because as much as the market is heating up, we gotta acknowledge the real pain points here. A lot of families are feeling squeezed out. And, well, here's the massive elephant in the room, 6.5%. That's roughly where mortgage interest rates are hovering right now. When you combine those rates with some genuinely tough economic times across the board, it completely validates the struggle buyers are facing today. Borrowing money is just expensive, and that directly limits your purchasing power.
Now let's put this into perspective locally. You've got the Fresno County median price sitting at $425,000. Contrast that with the incredibly intimidating California state median of over $900,000. So, relatively speaking, Fresno is conservatively priced. But then, look at the localized Clovis market, which is over $500,000. What's absolutely fascinating here is that even though Clovis has a higher median price point than the rest of Fresno County, experts report that homes are actually moving faster in those neighborhoods.
So we end up with this really tough reality. High property values plus the tough economy simply equals unaffordable for many families. Jimenez-Phillips noted that values are staying high and the market is doing great price-wise from a seller's perspective. But that doesn't change the reality for the average buyer. Many families are finding it incredibly difficult to enter the market precisely because of the broader state of the economy.
But don't lose hope, because here is Section 3, rising inventory brings leverage.
We finally get to transition from those harsh economic realities into some genuinely good news for buyers. Things are actually changing in your favor. Take a look at this data point, 3.5 months of inventory. What does that actually mean for you in practice? Simply put, more homes to pick from. Directly translates to way more room to negotiate. We're seeing a vital shift right now from a market of absolute scarcity to a market of opportunity. Sellers aren't the only ones holding the cards anymore.
Let's humanize that data for a second. This comparison perfectly captures what it feels like to be a buyer right now compared to just 12 months ago. Jimenez-Phillips shared this great anecdote. Last year, she might have had just 1 or maybe 2 properties to show a client. Today, that number is much higher, with 5 to 10 homes available to show. Buyers, your choices have practically multiplied overnight. You finally have real options.
Let's turn all this into action with Section 4, strategic tips for buyers. Now it's time to take all this regional data and translate it into direct advice you can take to the bank. These are some of the best home buyer tips for 2026 you'll hear. Let's look at how the current market friction is playing out step by step. Step 1. Sellers are pricing their homes based on data from 6 to 12 months ago. They saw their neighbors sell for a premium back then, and they expect that exact same premium today. Step 2.
Because they aren't realizing the market has shifted, those overpriced properties just sit on the market. Which leads us to step 3. Buyers can use this changing market to negotiate. The seller's outdated expectations? That is exactly where your advantage lies.
So the crucial point is neatly summarized right here in these 3 takeaways. If you want to leverage this rising inventory, first, target properties that are sitting on the market longer. Second, be prepared to negotiate. You actually have the breathing room to do it now. And third, capitalize on those sellers with outdated price expectations. If a house is priced way too high, it's going to linger, and that is your absolute best window of opportunity to step in with a realistic offer.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the number 25, because despite the economic toughness, despite those 6.5% interest rates, Valley homes generally still stay on the market for an average of just 25 days. This is a vital reality check. Yes, you have leverage on overpriced homes, but well-priced homes, they still move quickly. You still need to take decisive action when you find the right fit.
Which brings us to our final question today. Are you ready to use this shifting market data to find your competitive edge in 2026? We've seen that the market is heating up, inventory is growing, and there's a very real opportunity to negotiate if you just know where to look. Use these 2026 homebuyer tips, stay focused, and go find your leverage out there. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.